John Morton is a film junkie. He said it himself in a press conference. He loves to sit in his office, watch film, and create game plans. And Dan Campbell reported that John Morton's lucky if he gets more than 4 hours of sleep. There's also been reports that Ben Johnson and other coaching staffs wanted to bring John Morton to their franchise. So if you think the Packers overpaying for Micah Parsons means Detroit's going to get their butt kicked by Green Bay on Sunday, veteran coach and ultimate game planner John Morton for the Detroit Lions would be the first reason why I'd ask you to reconsider. Week 1 of the NFL season is finally here. I know everybody's excited. I'm so excited. We're all about to sit on our couches for 12 straight hours, 7 hours of commercial-free football into Sunday Night Football. And this weekend's got to be a top 3 weekend of the year. It's just the best. And the ladies, they had Love Island this summer. They're crazy for watching 50 hours of a dating show. I mean, who would do that? It's insane. But this, the NFL, this is vital to humanity. And of course, I'm joking. I may or may not have watched a few episodes of that show this summer, but that's neither here nor there. The Lions are playing at 4:25 on Sunday at Lambeau Field against the Packers. We've seen it the last few years. They're opening up these seasons with divisional matchups. I love it. And it's a little weird, you know, it's 4:25 game and Detroit's not playing on the West Coast. They're primetime media now. It just makes you think for a second. We finally made it. So here on this channel, you know I always give my fully unbiased opinion about every game. I have no positive bias towards any team nor negative bias towards any team. So with that out of the way, I want to start up this matchup preview, getting into my pick right off the bat. With this matchup, I am picking the Detroit Lions. Fuck the Pack. That got out of hand fast. In all seriousness, I got a lot to say about this game. Let's start off with the Lions offense going up against that Packers defense. Yes, the Packers have acquired Micah Parsons from the Cowboys. And it's a fact that he is going to elevate this Packers defense. He can line up anywhere, very athletic, and match up against Goff, he's not a mobile quarterback. And many hold the opinion now that the Packers have one of the best defenses in the NFL and they're going to win the Super Bowl. Jeff Hafley in his first year had the Packers defense finish 5th in points per game allowed, 7th in rushing yards per game allowed, and 8th in passing yards per game allowed last season. So hands down, now with the addition of Micah Parsons, they got to be the best defense. But I would argue otherwise. My professional opinion is that those statistics are a bit inflated because of the Packers' schedule last season. They played the bad Cardinals, Colts, Jaguars, Dolphins, Saints, and Titans. And then they played the struggling rookie Caleb Williams twice, the struggling Houston Texans offense, the struggling San Francisco 49ers, and the struggling early season Los Angeles Rams. Remaining from the games I've already mentioned are 2 against the Lions, 2 against the Vikings, 2 against the Eagles, and 1 against the Seahawks. And their record in those 7 is 1-6, only beating the Seahawks. So did I just expose the full 2024 Packers season? Yes. Not really, it's not that simple, but at the same time, it kind of is. And while I'm on this topic, I'll go a bit further and say that Matt LaFleur's teams don't win big games. You could say I'm kind of nitpicking here, and there is also a lot up on the screen, but I feel like it can't all just be disregarded. Again, the Packers 0-6 against those teams last season. LaFleur has not had playoff success. And Dan Campbell has owned the Packers as head coach 6-2. And of course, there's Kirby Joseph, the kryptonite. And that was against the Packers and the refs. I'm just playing, not really. But a lot goes into all of that. It's more than just those high-level stats. Jordan Love had his injuries. The Packers wide receiver core had tons of drops last season. So getting back into the Lions offense versus Packers defense, it is going to be zone coverage against this Lions wide receiver core. Last season, Jared Goff threw 20 touchdowns, no picks, and over a 70% completion rate against man coverage. The Packers, they're not going to want to do man coverage. Don't do that. And we know St. Brown has done very well against the Packers over the past few years. Had the amazing toe tapper and then headstand last season. That was one of my favorite routes from the year. I think kind of a sneaky prediction is that Jameson Williams is going to have a huge game. He's gotten better and better each year, has had a phenomenal camp from reports. And in his 3 games against Green Bay, he's done very well. But I guess it's only 2 games if you don't count the Week 18 2022 one where the phantom holding call called back his only catch. You know, that's some of Aaron Rodgers' magic there. But it is insane. Some people don't realize Jameson Williams' first 2 catches, including this one that was called back, was a 40-yard touchdown against the Vikings and a 66-yard touchdown against the Packers. This man is going to be a star. And he pretty much already is. Going to a Detroit line offensive worry, they're going up against Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary. There's going to be pass rush. And the worry is that the Detroit Lions have brought together a new offensive line. Right tackle, Penei Sewell. All right, brick wall. Right guard, Tate Ratledge, rookie. Okay, inexperienced, but Penei Sewell and others have said he's a dog and he's had a really good camp. The center is going to be Graham Glasgow, who just got cleared of an injury. A little worrying, but the Lions do have a great coaching staff, and he's been with the team for a while. Left tackle Christian Mahogany only has 75 NFL snaps from last season, entering year 2. A little worrying as well. And left tackle Taylor Decker, who's going to have to come up clutch, was dealing with a shoulder injury, but he's ready to go. The offensive line, you don't know for sure or not if it's going to come together, but with Detroit's leadership, Penei Sewell at right tackle, still a few vets in there. I think they're going to be good, especially with what I've heard from Tate Ratledge. And the pressure up the middle is where Jared Goff struggles the most. And that's kind of good news because now Kenny Clark is no longer on the Packers. And this is where I get into, I think, the determining factor of why I'm picking the Lions. Jahmyr Gibbs is the running back. And he's done very well against the Packers over the past 2 seasons. And with the Packers secondary playing zone, if Goff's under pressure, he knows he's going to have Gibbs there. John Morton is game planning for all of this. I truly think Jahmyr Gibbs is the ace. He's going to destroy the Packers' defensive line. I just don't know how they're going to stop the run game, especially with David Montgomery subbing in. And even if the offensive line is struggling, Jahmyr Gibbs can make guys miss, or with the screens. And then I also think you're going to see some Isaac Tesla in here. The Lions like to get their rookies going early in the season. They toss them in there. Remember the Chiefs game? Gibbs got some runs. Remember last year, week 1, Jameson Williams, tons of catches. And if the pressure isn't getting there, or it's not getting there fast enough for the Packers, and there's going to be plays where there isn't pressure, can the Packers secondary guard up against St. Brown, Tesla, Laporta, Williams, and Gibbs out of the backfield? Can they game plan for that? Especially with the play action. The Lions ran the most play action last season, and I imagine they're going to do it again. The Packers have a strong secondary, but I'm not sold. Nate Hobbs, right cornerback, has not practiced all camp. Xavier McKinney, probably their best secondary player, is dealing with an injury, but he's going to play. So can Javon Bullard, Valentine, Evan Williams, can they guard all of these Detroit skill players in space while also looking for the run? And the last thing about this side of the matchup, Micah Parsons is dealing with an injury. Some said it wasn't real, or it maybe was exaggerated how bad it was because he was holding out for an payment from Jerry Jones. But he might need an epidural injection for his back because of a back sprain. Now, I don't know what that means, but it's an injury, and I can't imagine back tightness or sprains are fun. So that's something to look out for. And one more thing I forgot to mention about the Lions offense. If people are still talking about Ben Johnson being gone, the Lions offense won't be as good. Ben Johnson wasn't out there making the plays. And Dan Campbell is a phenomenal coach. He's in that as well. He's not just a meathead. Campbell had his team go for it on 4th down against the Packers 7 times last year. 6 converted out of those 4 touchdowns. Talk about dropping your balls on the Packers. Yo, someone's fandom bias is showing out here. Who said that? Moving to the Packers offense, their best player, you're going to see a lot of them, Josh Jacobs. Well, he's not the best player on the roster anymore. Parsons has been added, and I think Golden is going to be up there too, but he's at least top 3. Last season, the Packers led the NFL in first quarter rushing yards, and Matt LaFleur ran play action the most in his career as head coach with a 25% rate. And this run game is lucky they're not going up against Aleem McNeil, but they are going up against DJ Reader and Tyleik Williams making his debut. And continuing in the trenches with Detroit's defensive line, Aiden Hutchinson is making his return to the NFL, and you know it's going to be bad when in the Lions training camp there was an Aiden Hutchinson rule. If he got to the quarterback, the play did not stop. There was a rule just for Aiden Hutchinson. And I don't think I need to say anything about him statistically or about his game. He's just the best. And he's going to have some help on the other edge with Marcus Davenport. We'll see how he plays. But I don't think Aiden Hutchinson needs help. He can take over this game by himself. And with the Packers offensive line, they've also done some shuffling during the offseason and have a few new moving pieces. Jenkins is moving to center. So Lions Glasgow, Packers Jenkins, both starting at center. And then there's the additions of right tackle Zach Tom and left guard Aaron Banks. The offensive line for the Packers is projected to be very good, but we'll see if they can mesh when the season starts. It's probably going to be pretty good. Zach Tom is a great right tackle. The addition, he's $88 million over 4 years. But the worry is Rasheed Walker, left tackle. He was up and down in 2024, very consistent against the good pass rushers, and now he's going to be going up against Aiden Hutchinson. So I think there might be a game breaker there. Wide receiver room for the Packers led the league in drops very bad last season. They were just funneling through everybody who can catch the ball. Christian Watson is out. Wicks is dealing with an injury. Jaden Reed is dealing with an injury. But they have Matthew Golden, who I think is going to be a star. He's going to be extremely fast and matching up against Lions' new cornerback, free agent acquisition, DJ Reed. That is going to be a fun matchup to watch. And then, of course, Romeo Doubs. He dealt with a lot of injuries last season, but he's still a stud and is probably going to have a pretty good game. And I only say pretty good because the Lions' defense is looking amazing to me. Kelvin Shepard, the linebacker coach, now the DC, has been working with Jack Campbell from the start, and Jack Campbell keeps getting better and better year after year. I said in my season prediction, Jack Campbell is going to be the black horse for the Lions defense this year. He led the team in tackles last season. And Dan Campbell keeps raving about how much of a leader he is, how much he's improved, how good he is at seeing the formations and communicating the plays to the rest of the defense. And then Alex Anzalone's back from injury. Derek Barnes is back from injury. Amik Robertson is back from injury. And of course, Aiden Hutchinson is back from injury. And Marcus Davenport is back from injury. Oh my gosh. Please, God, never let the Lions have to deal with that many injuries again. The Lions secondary has a very high ceiling this year. Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, probably the best safety duo in the league, if not one of the best. And Brian Branch can play any position. So versatile. Behind Aiden Hutchinson, I believe Branch is the best playmaker on this Lions defense. He's just so smart. He always seems to know what's going on. He got kicked out of the game last season, so you know he's going to be pissed off. Of course, Kirby Joseph is going to be pissed off playing the Packers. He wants to bring down another pick. And with Branch being able to play anywhere, Kelvin Shepard has a ton of formational flexibility with him. He can line him up anywhere, and Jordan Love is going to have to count for where Branch is and decide what he's going to do. Overall, the Packers offense doesn't really scare me, especially when I believe how good this Lions defense will be. Jordan Love is a good quarterback, but he is entering his 5th season. And I know he didn't play for 2 years, but sitting on the bench and watching Aaron Rod, you know, maybe it was a problem right there. He sat on the bench 2 years learning, but he's behind Aaron Rodgers. That could have been the problem. I don't know. I haven't really decided if Jordan Love is good or if he's bad. I know last season was rough, but he was injured, and the wide receivers drop balls. And sometimes he throws off his back foot. Sometimes he throws off his back foot 3 yards down the field and it ends up in Kirby Joseph's hands, and it's 6 points. But then there's a stretch to finish the 2023 season where he wins 7 of the last 9 games, throws maybe 1 interception, over 10 touchdowns, beats the Chiefs, beats the Lions on Thanksgiving, crushes the Cowboys in the playoffs, really good defense, and then blows it at the end against the 49ers by throwing a pick. But again, he also injured in that game. To wrap up this pregame analysis, this is something that I thought of, but I've never done this before. I feel like the Lions have a better chance to blow out the Packers than they do the Lions. And overall, the Lions have a better chance to win, even though Vegas does not agree with me and the public does not agree with me. But this is my chart. I think the Lions have the advantage at quarterback, the advantage at running back, the advantage at wide receiver, the advantage at coaching, the advantage at experience. This Lions team has been very good and improving year after year. Jordan Love and the Packers went down from 2023 to 2024. I'm not saying there weren't fair reasons for that, but the Lions have continued to build and build. And if you're going to bring up the playoffs against the Commanders, oh my gosh, don't get me started. The Lions depth chart and Kindle Vildor being on the field will tell you all you need to know. This is going to be the Lions' first game without Kindle Vildor on the roster. That's just a win in itself. The Packers probably have the advantage with pass rush, and it may seem crazy to say probably. They have Gary and Parsons, but Aiden Hutchinson is that good, and if he can outperform Parsons, that's really going to be wraps. My final score prediction is Lions 27, Packers 16. I don't think it's going to be that close. I don't know. The score prediction is not what I do here. I tell you who's going to win. That's what my track record is. That's kind of a crazy score prediction after saying it, but that's what came to me in the moment. So I'm going to stick with it. I think Gibbs scores a touchdown, Jameson Williams scores a touchdown, and Laporta score touchdowns for the Lions. For the Packers, I think you're going to see Golden score a touchdown, and then Josh Jacobs score a touchdown, and they're going to go for 2 late in the game, and they're not going to get it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. At the end of the day, they're predictions. Don't hate on my predictions unless you're going to give me something that we can come back to so we can see if I was right and you were wrong. Thanks for watching.